Hi, my name is Kunal Patel, CTO of BrandXR and co-founder of the Orlando game space. So Microsoft has been in the news lately, and yesterday they announced they won a $22 billion contract from the U.S. military for the HoloLens, or a modified version of it. And they also have, there's some rumors going on that they might acquire Discord for about $10 billion. And just a few months back, they bought Bethesda for about $7 billion. So a lot of activity that's going on. Here at the Orlando game space, we have programmers, designers, musicians. We have over 15 different studios. We do a lot of R&D. We do a lot of work with gaming technology. So we got some thoughts. So what I'd like to do is take you through and talk to some of the developers and talk to the people that are working on this kind of tech and just get their thoughts on all of this.
My name is Joel Arroyo. I work at A Square Games and Simulation. And what's mainly got me concerned about the Microsoft, buying out like the ZeniMax is that those particular companies, id, Arcane, I love all those games. And from the last console wars, from what I've seen, I don't really trust. I don't trust Microsoft to creatively leave the companies alone and let them just develop the games on their own. So I hope that what Microsoft does is I hope that they are more hands off and they're there just to be a publisher to facilitate, and they just leave the creative processes to all the ZeniMax companies that they're buying. Because games like Deathloop, I'm not a big fan of the idea, but I like the fact that it's out there, and I don't think Microsoft would take such a creative risk. So that's it right there.
Hi, I'm Chris Perry from A Square, Unity developer. My thoughts on Bethesda, I think I'm in the minority, so I don't think it's going to be too bad of a acquisition. I believe that they're just basically looking for some more games to basically throw on their Game Pass whole system. So I don't think that we're gonna, I know obviously most games are gonna be exclusive, or some games they say are gonna be exclusive and stuff. So I don't think that's gonna be necessarily a problem. I think they're just looking for games to kind of just throw on their Game Pass, and then I think they'll leave some studios alone. I know there's some that believe that if it fails, they're just gonna close down a lot of studios. I hope that's not the case. But I'm pretty positive. I think they're going to do fine. I think we'll be all right with our games. I think Deathloop and all the other games, they're going to be pretty much fine. What I'm more curious about is the Discord acquisition. I think I just want to see what they do with it, honestly. I want to see if they integrate it with any of their Xbox, Xbox Live or anything like that. If they do any cool stuff like that, really. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to what they do with it, really.
Hi, I'm Bobby with 302 Interactive. And latest news is Microsoft got a $22 billion contract with the U.S. military. Over the last year, as we've all experienced, the pandemic has affected us in a lot of different ways. In the XR community, we saw a massive growth in virtual experience and people getting interested in how to utilize the virtual world. I think Microsoft's deal with the U.S. military has really pushed forward the XR development, and now moving into spaces, which I think is the next wave of XR development, which is in the public sector. How can XR help healthcare, military, education, where it's not just a consumer product, something that is considered a fad, like maybe Pokemon Go or Snapchat filters.
Hi, my name is Chad Hoover. I represent Phoenix Digital Studios and the Operations Director here at the Orlando Game Space. I'm going to be talking to you about my thoughts and feelings about the purchase of the ZeniMax Bethesda deal for Microsoft. When you look at Bethesda as a whole as a company, they're one of the biggest growing and more culturally acceptable game studios out there. And seeing it purchased by where Microsoft has progressed in their own purchasing of first-party studios. They've had a lot of success in purchasing key studios to support their brand, and even all the other ones that they've purchased, they've kind of kept their own likelihood and brotherhood about them, and being able to successfully produce better content because of that.
Troy Parker, CEO of Code Firm, going to talk about the HoloLens deal. So the HoloLens deal is really interesting. The economics of it point to some very interesting directions I think it's going to go in. We've got a $22 billion deal to outfit 120,000 personnel, which equates to about $185,000 per person who needs to be outfitted, right? Shelf cost of HoloLens 2 is about $2,500, right? So our factors there are already pretty crazy. We're looking at about 75x or a little bit higher than that differentiator in cost there. So with that, we have to ask the question of what is the cost discrepancy here, right? And everything points to that they're going to be bringing the HoloLens into combat, right? These things are going to be field ready to go, right? They're going to be figuring out the latest way to put battery on, all of the situations that go on in combat that may cause an issue to make sure soldiers are safe. But these things, expect them to be used for soldiers to be able to use drones in the field, right? You know, switch over and get a camera feed immediately after, like on immediate deployment of a live combat drone. Expect them to be used to paint targets that are being presented in GPS from overhead. They're going to be using that money to increase their accuracy of their SLAM and other real-world tracking capabilities. It's going to be interesting. Microsoft must have shown an amazing demo, really, at the end of the day, because otherwise I didn't think the tech was there yet.
All right, so I have some thoughts. I don't know what everybody else is thinking exactly, but I mean, my thoughts are this military deal is going to be a good thing because in the end, we need our soldiers to have every tool possible. They need to have every feather in their cap. They need to be the best they can be. And if they're working with Microsoft, then what you know is going to happen is the HoloLens is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to fizzle out. It's not going to be like, oh, maybe it didn't get enough customers. No, it's got the US military as its customer. It's going to be here for a long time. It's going to be here for the next 20 years at least. You know, this deal is already over for 10 years. It's going to go on beyond that. So all of that enhancement that's going to come from the military is going to trickle down to the rest of us, whether it's in business or whether it's, you know, Xbox gamers. All the enhancements that get paid for by the military, those will come down the pipe to the prosumer and consumer levels. So I think that's going to be great just for XR, and just simply the soldiers will have the best. In terms of, you know, the other two deals, I don't feel so hot about those. With Bethesda being bought for $7 billion, I get it from a business standpoint, Microsoft acquiring it. They kind of have like exclusive content now. And, you know, if you are PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, you know, console, you know, owner, you're not going to get anything from Bethesda or, you know, their parent company ZeniMax, like any of their properties like Doom or Quake, any of the things from id, you know, on your platform. They might say, hey, we're going to support, you know, our other partners and things like that. But long term, I don't think it's going to happen. And so you're going to be locked into that Microsoft Xbox ecosystem. So I don't like it from a game player's perspective. In terms of a developer perspective, it just means like you're kind of now forced to develop for Microsoft. So I don't like that. And then also for Discord, we use Discord every single day here at the GameSpace. We used to use Slack, we switched over to Discord, and now Microsoft is going to purchase it. We're kind of worried. I would say I'm worried that it's going to become a little bit too much like Teams, that Microsoft will try to Microsoft, you know, Discord, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan of the Teams infrastructure or Microsoft's productivity suite. Some people are, but I think with Discord, if they do take it over and they do change what it is and what people love about it, people will just move over to the next thing. You know, people were using Slack for a while, then they moved over to Discord, like we did over here, and then if it happens, maybe we'll move over to something else. So Not a fan of those two last deals. I get it though. I think it's good for Microsoft as a business in terms of battling against the other giants. But the deal in terms of the military, I think, is great because it's just going to bring that tech to the rest of us, and it's just going to solidify things. XR is here to stay, and I mean, our military, the U.S. military, is going to be using it. So I think it's going to be good for its big impact.